Hey guys, welcome back to Honey in the Rock. I'm Sophie and this is Jack. So, me and Jack worked together this summer. You guys get to now meet him. So, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, tell us where you're from, other than I said the boondocks of Alabama.
Yeah, I'm from North Alabama, Northwest Alabama. It's located about 2 hours northwest of Birmingham. It's a small town called Haleyville. Population of about 5,000. Yeah, it's a very small town. Graduated with 90 students in high school. So, yeah.
I graduated with like 250 people in my high school. It was a much bigger group. Okay, where do you go to college? He is a golfer also.
Yeah. Golf was a big part of my life in high school. I just I wanted to play college golf, and so I committed to this Division II university in like just south of Birmingham. It's called the University of Montevallo. It's like 3,000 students. Um, but yeah, that's where I go to school. Um, I graduate in December. Fun fact. So I was supposed to graduate. I was supposed to graduate in the spring, but I got some school done early. And so yeah, I graduate in December. So I'm really excited.
Look at you go. Well, when we first met Jack, he was like the funny guy on our team, and it was like, oh, he's funny and he's like lighthearted. But then like as I got to watch him lead, it was really cool to see what a good leader he was, and he just like used his spiritual gifts so humbly and so clearly for the Lord. And so it was really fun to get to serve alongside of him. Um and like it was like he was the funny guy, but he also was a lot deeper than that and clearly had a heart for the Lord, and it was evident in the way he spoke to people and walked out and was intentional with students. So I'm excited for you guys to hear his testimony, because it's really sweet how the Lord has used his life, um, and got him to where he is now, on the path of just like walking with the Lord faithfully. So you can share your testimony. You can start wherever you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up early stages of my life. I dealt with a lot of hardships. Um, when I was a couple years old, her name was Corey. My dad and her separated. He dealt with some drug addictions, and so I was at the younger ages, and so I didn't really know like what was going on. I just know that this is kind of just like in a nutshell. I mean, I could talk just for time's sake purposes. And so I grew up in and out of church. My dad was always he was always a Christian, and he was one who just revealed like who God was to me, and just like this is like what I believe, and so like I had to figure that out on my own. Anyway, so I grew up, and so after Corey and Dad separated, my dad found this next woman, and her name actually, and so I was getting a little bit older. I was getting like 6, 7.
Already.
8 years, 6, 7, 8 years old. No. Um, 8 years old, and so my dad found this next woman, and her name was Ashley, and so like I finally had a mother figure in my life. So I grew up playing sports, and so sports was my life, and so Ashley would like throw baseball in the yard with me, and so that's just like an example of like what kind of like mother figure she was. But she like stepped into the role like just like an awesome mother, and it was really great. And so after they got married, they were gonna have a little boy, and his name was gonna be Troy. And so um, after they got married, and after like they became pregnant with Troy, they found out that Troy wasn't going to make it, and so he ended up passing away, which is really unfortunate. And so like during this time, we weren't really in church. Really know going on. We just really weren't. We were just in and out of church. And we were still like so-called believers, but we just never really went. And so after Troy passed away, it was a hard time for our family. And so some time passed, some months passed on. I just remember this. I was in vacation Bible school with my grandmother up in Tennessee. My dad, he's from Tennessee, so is his mom. And so I was at her vacation Bible school one random summer night. and they told me how to vacate the Bible school early. And they bring me home to her house. There's a bunch of cars there. It's really random. Just I just like vaguely remember this, and they sit me down in the living room, and they just inform me that my stepmother actually just committed suicide. And so like I just remember breaking down. It was just so sad and very frustrating. Because I didn't, because it was just sad because I lost a little stuff like I didn't really know. So I just thought it was my brother, and then I've lost two mother figures, all before, all around the age of 10. And so um, I was just like, why is this happening to me? It was just really sad and really unfortunate.
Right.
It was really hard for my dad. It's like, as far as I can remember, I really didn't grow up asking questions. After all this stuff happening, I didn't ask really any questions. Um, but anyway, so that time passed. It was just me and my dad for a little bit. And during that time, I decided to give my life to the Lord just because I thought it was the good thing to do and the right thing to do. I can like humbly say like I've always had a good heart. I've always like cared for others and like wanted to do good. And so like I just thought that next step, Christian, and like give yourself to the Lord. And so I was still at a younger age, and so I didn't really know what it meant to be full, fully devoted Christian and like a fully like devoted servant of Jesus. And so that like led into like a cultural Christian lifestyle. And so that led in throughout middle school and high school. Um, but anyways, so time passed after Ashley passed away, and my dad finds this next woman. Her name's Susan. They end up getting married, and they have a little boy named Ashton. And like, it's when I tell you that's the biggest blessing I've ever received. Like, God's crazy, and he works in ways that I've never even thought of him working. He's been so good to me, and so good to my dad. Out of all the hardships that we've been through, he's just blessed us in so many ways that we don't even understand. And like so, Ashton, he's grown up now. He's 10. He's great. Like like she gave me birth. He just She's been so supportive. She's so kind-hearted. She just loves to give and love to just do for other people. And that's just, I look up to that. And I think that's part of the reason why who I am today. Um, but, so anyway, so like going back, like living, like I got involved in the youth group. We started getting back in church when my mom and my dad get married. And they have an accident. And so middle school ages, I get involved in the church. I get involved in like the youth group. Um, start going on every Sunday, every Wednesday night, just that type of thing. Like, outside of like in the shadows, I'm still living like that cultural Christian. I don't know, like I'm not in a personal relationship with Jesus. I'm not in the Word. I'm not praying. I'm not doing any of the things that um, just show fruit and what being a devoted Christian and a devoted follower of Jesus. So that leads in high school. I'm still doing all the right things, like inside like the church, but outside the church, like in the shadows, I'm still like I'm just living two different lives. And like looking back on that, like it hurt me spiritually. Like I even interned for my youth pastor one summer. I think it was my sophomore year of high school. I interned for him. But a big part of my life was camp, and so I go to camp every year. I go to few camps every year. We went to a new location. We saw a bunch of different cultures and how they live. And so I commit to play college golf, and so that was a big part of my life. I get to my freshman year of college, and it was the farthest I've ever been spiritually away from the Lord. It was sad to see, looking back on it now, like all that time spiritually that I lost. It was really frustrating looking back on it now. I was just living like a lukewarm Christian, a lukewarm Christian. I fell into the wrong group. Um, I have a bunch of teammates that they don't really know who exactly the Lord is and what it means to be a fully. They don't know the true purpose of life. That's the best way I can say it. And so like I fell into that
Yep.
temptation. I was doing bunch of the things um, that college offers do. It was just like a miniature fraternity. And so I just fell into that. I think I went to church one time my freshman year of college. But after that freshman year, I go to camp as a chaperone of my church. So I always loved camp. And so this is really when my life turned around. This was the starting point. On the last day at site, we were at the local community, just, I think we are in a park. And the site director from the camp comes up to me. She says, "Hey, like, we've seen you in camps before. Like, you're a leader. Like, why are you not working camp?" And I was like, "Well, I'm playing a college sport right now. Like, I don't want to miss it. Like, summer is a big part of golf. And like, it's like when you can get better." And so, I just don't want to give that up. And so she was like, "I think you can apply. I think you'd be a great leader." And so I was like, "Okay, like whatever." It's like a 30-minute conversation. It's like, "Hey, like I'll apply, but I'm not doing anything with it." And so we were in Chicago. And so like that 14-hour bus ride back from Chicago, I apply. And that fall of 23, I go through the interview process, and I end up not getting a spot. Like, so I go through the fall, and um, they interview me and they contact me back and they're like, "Hey, like, we don't have a spot for you." They're pretty much saying like you're not ready. And so I was like, "Okay." Well, I just took that as like, "Oh, okay, I can just live my life how it is. How I'm just going to continue to practice golf and continue to live in my flesh." And so, my youth pastor, his name's John. He's the one who shepherded me growing up. He's been a big part of my life. And so, he reaches out to Lifeway and he's like, "Hey, like, I think you're making a mistake. Like, this guy's a leader. Like, I think you could really like look into that and see if you have like an open spot that comes available." And so some time passes on the fall of 23, and they contact me back in like the winter, and they say, "Hey, we have a spot for you in Mobile, Alabama. Do you want to take it?" It's an infusion only site. We've got an open spot for a staff member. Do you want it? And so I start praying. I'm like, well, maybe this is like I need to do this. And so I end up accepting it. And so I get to the spring of 24, still living like a little cultural Christian. I'm still like just doing things that don't glorify God. And like I'm pretty sure like even like 2 weeks before camp, I was just like probably partying or doing something that I wasn't supposed to. And so I get to camp with an unprepared heart and like a lukewarm faith. And um, 2024 changed my life. I got there and I just fell in love with like doing ministry. It was one of the best, like, it was one of the best times of my life, honestly. Just being around a bunch of worldly or like a bunch of godly people made me realize that I was living for the world. And so I get back in the fall of 24. Um, I didn't get to practice any that summer because I got to practice on like Sunday afternoons after third. And so like but I got back and started like playing some really good golf. But like it was becoming a lesser priority towards me. And so like I start praying to the Lord, like I'm not really liking school. I'm for a business management degree, and I'm not really liking school that much. And so I start praying, like, what do you want me to do in my life, Lord? And he ends up calling me to the ministry like a couple weeks after school starts. And I was like, "Oh, I never thought this a day in my life." And what was funny, like my freshman year of high school, my youth pastor John, he's like, "You're going to be youth pastor one day." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "No way." And so I fast forward to like my sophomore year of college. Um, he calls me into the ministry, or junior year of college. He calls me in the ministry, and so I decided to stop playing golf fall of 24. I finished up my fall season, and I just told the coach that like, "Hey, like this is what I'm doing, and golf's getting in the way." And so I started applying for churches. I get this job in like the greater Birmingham area. It's called a small. It's a town called Alabaster. So you can say it's small. It's not small at all. I interned for this church called Westwood Baptist. I'm the youth pastor. I've been doing last semester and this upcoming semester, or last semester, um, and I'm finishing out this semester when I go back. Um, but yeah, like, um, and like I'm gonna start seminary. I forgot to um, share this, but I'm actually going into seminary school. Hopefully, if it's in the Lord's will, if a youth pastor role comes up, um, pray about that too. But I plan on doing New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary in New Orleans, Louisiana. Hopefully, get a master's there and become a youth pastor. after I graduate in December. But that's kind of my story. That's kind of who I am. I share this story a lot. I shared it all throughout camp. I share it because like I obviously dealt with some hardships growing up, and there's people out there that um, have dealt with similar things like me, and some things that I could never even imagine. We used to be the preacher kid that grew up, they found the Lord on their own, and they just lived sunshines and rainbows. But like I just like for everyone walking this, like I just want to encourage you, like that your story matters. Um, like I dealt with some hardships, and like my life is like my early ages of life, like it's been like a roller coaster. But one thing that was constant was Jesus, and then that's just like what I like to preach to people. Like it doesn't matter how far you think you are away from Him. If you feel like you're 10,000 steps away from Him, like you don't have to get 10,000 steps back to find Him. Like all you have to do is turn around with open arms. And I just really encourage that with people because like He's changed my life in that way. I mean, He's blessed me with so many things that um, I wouldn't even ever imagine. But yeah, that's kind of my story and who I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's sweet just to see like where the Lord takes us from. Of like, okay, this sucks and this sucks and this sucks, but then you still met Jesus and just that like I feel like that constant is just like the biggest piece of encouragement of like whatever we're facing, like things are always changing. Whether it's good change or bad change, like things are always changing. And it's really kind of cool just that constant. Um, where like he doesn't move and he's not
Yeah,
changing. And so I think that's really sweet. And it is interesting how like people call stuff out of in us when we're like younger and we're like, yeah, God, no, that's not happening. And then
yeah,
like John for you, and then now it's just like that is going to be your reality of being a youth pastor. But then like how the Lord equips you for what He's going to call you to do, and
for
it is
sure.
like clear like your leadership roles are going to be perfect in that way, not because you figured it out on your own, but because you surrendered to the Lord in that way. And I think that's really sweet. Um, and how often we all fall into that like lukewarm, like checking the boxes, just doing the part. Um,
Yeah.
and how the Lord like we have sometimes we have to like hit the bottom and
Hmm.
try the things the world offers to realize like what am I doing?
Hmm.
Because none of that satisfies us, and we can run and run and run and try to earn all things and like get this approval, but that just like never works. And
Yeah,
it's such a gift that we can just turn around back to Jesus, that we don't have to try to fix all of these mistakes or go back and all the way back to Him. He's just like there, and that's
for
just like
sure.
so kind of Him, and so evident in your story, which is encouraging too.
For sure.
And I don't know, I just think that's like if we had to go all the way back, we wouldn't do it
Yeah.
because our flesh would again get in the way, and it still does. But
Hmm.
then we have the Spirit to help us. But it's like if I had to go back and fix everything I messed up before I could get back to Jesus, or
Hmm.
clean my life up, or fix the struggles that I face, or whatever to go to Jesus, then like we would not be going to Jesus. And that's
Yeah.
out of His
And
mercy
like
and kindness.
obviously like people say like if I could go back in my life I wouldn't change a thing
Mm.
because that's just what made me who I am today. And like a part of that is true for me, but at the same time, like obviously like I would do a little bit things different and give a little bit more of my life to Jesus, or a lot of more of my life actually. Um, but like good news is we have a gracious Father that He just gives us unlimited grace that we don't even understand.
Right.
And it's been so cool for me. Like I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm still not. But like I know I have that confidence in the Lord and just what He's doing in my life.
Yeah.
It's been really cool.
Yeah.
These next 6 months of my life are probably the biggest months of my life ever. I guess you say that every time you step up, but
Right.
I think it's I'm getting there. Big game on for sure.
Yeah. That's exciting. You said something at the very beginning about fruit and like when you were walking, like just like claiming this like cultural Christianity of just like, okay, I go to church on Sunday and it looks good. And then you're like, but there was no fruit. And I think that is something that's just like so evident. Um, Something that I like ended up like sharing with like a lot of the girls this summer would be like, okay, well, if you're trying to find a boy to date, then like if there's a lemon tree outside, should you have to cut open the roots to see if there's a lemon inside? No, you should see it by the fruit. And the same in a guy. But then that's just like the same, just as like Christians of like, if I claim that I'm walking with Jesus or going to church, but there's no
Hmm.
fruit in my life, then like, where's my heart actually at? Am I just claiming this because it looks good? And then the fruit comes and it's like, oh, it's because you're actually following Jesus. And so I think that's interesting how you said that. Like when we are just checking the boxes, there is no fruit because we're not actually doing anything. We're just there taking up space.
For sure.
Um, what do you think? How was this summer different than last summer for you?
Um, it's actually a lot different. Um, Last summer was, if anybody's unfamiliar, there's a centrifuge side of camp and there's a centrifuge side of camp. And so I was at a location last summer. I was in South Alabama, the University of Mobile, um, and I was mission fuge only, and so only campers that came were mission fuge. Um, and it was just I was so fired up last summer. The biggest difference for me this like between this summer and last summer is like last summer showed me what I'm gonna do, Lord willing, for the rest of my life is in the ministry, and I was just so fired up from week one to week seven. And this summer it was really, really tough for me because I felt at moments I was just going through the motions. Um, I was just also like spiritually drained. It was hard for me to get my quiet time this summer just because of just how tired I was, and just like all the sickness that was um, being dealt with over the summer. Like it was just really tough. But the main difference was is I felt like almost in like a cycle. I was just spinning in circles at times during the summer. And if it wasn't for like the kid or students that and the people that were there all summer, like I wouldn't have made it through. And just how fun they made it. Like, cause it can get hard sometimes. Um, like waking up and doing it every day, like it can be hard and it can be draining. Like it was just really tough for me because I think the enemy was just trying to show me that like, you don't want to be here. Like you can just quit. And like that's not what I was called to do. I was called to serve each and every day and give it the best I got. Um,
Right.
but no, like I've loved both summers of camp. Huge. It's changed my life. There's some things that were harder than others, but for the most part, it's changed my life and like who I am. Like there's something special about camp,
Yeah.
about just being in a congregation of everybody that's like just following one person, and just serving Jesus. And it's
Yeah.
been really cool.
Yeah. That, and you probably were tired and then you saw me and I was entertaining and then you're like, oh,
Right.
yeah. Right. Obviously.
Right.
Um, Well, thanks for sharing your story, Jack, and just like serving and being a humble leader in the ways that you are. And I'm excited to see what the Lord's going to do in and through your life. So I'm cheering you on.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.